Life is made up of experiences. Experiences shape our perspectives and allow us to pass along knowledge. In this podcast, I sit down with listeners like you and find out that no matter who you are, everyone has a story to tell. I'm Ethan Smith, and this is Life Experienced.
I grew up most of my life wanting to be an attorney, and actually practiced pre-law in college. And as I began to have experiences, doing the internships and things like that, I realized I wanted to kind of go the attorney political route, and I realized I didn't want to do that because I didn't like the politics of it.
Growing up, I wanted to be probably in entertainment first, and also just in any type of creative field. But then I found myself becoming better in sports, better and better, and I practiced and worked hard to try to reach a goal of like getting to the NFL. But I think for me, that was probably a form of entertainment, even though I didn't realize it at the time.
Robyn and Kevin Jones, who you just heard there, began their career journeys 1,000 miles apart. Robyn in Florida and Kevin in Pennsylvania. They've accomplished much together since they met in the early 2000s, but their stories first began to converge when it came time for them to decide where to attend college.
I am from West Palm Beach, Florida, so I'm a long way from home and a long way from the warm weather that I do so love.
Yes.
But what brought me to Tech is a pamphlet in the mail, believe it or not. I had never heard of Virginia Tech. I have no family in the area. Didn't grow up watching it. I grew up watching, the great powerhouses of FSU and University of Miami and all that. And so that was what it was embedded in my mind. And I got a flyer in the mail one day that said, could be a great place for you. And as I looked into it, I saw that it was a really great institution, and I wanted to kind of go out of state and experience the season changes. And I came up here on a visit and fell in love and have seen the season changes, number of times over now.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it's we always say it's meant to be that we both ended up at Virginia Tech, because Kevin has an interesting story about how he ended up here as well. So.
Right.
Do I?
You do.
I don't know. Your Wikipedia article says that Frank Beamer came to visit you, so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was interesting, I guess. Yeah, I ended up here on a football scholarship. I was recruited by a lot of schools in the country, and coming to Virginia Tech on a visit, I really enjoyed my time. I was also here for a track meet, and that was like my first time on campus. And then, as Virginia Tech learned more about what I did in high school as a football player, they was knocking on my door. So I think it was just an interesting time, and taking visits and meeting the coaching staff and, indoor track, all the different things that I, enjoyed doing. I saw myself being able to do here at Virginia Tech. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
After 3 successful seasons at Virginia Tech, Kevin chose to enter the 2004 National Football League draft, where he was selected as the 30th overall pick by the Detroit Lions. Robyn remained at Virginia Tech to complete her degree, and it was during that year that she and Kevin would cross paths again. So did your paths cross at Virginia Tech? Is that how you met?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. He saw me, of course, and couldn't resist. And the rest is history.
You didn't see me?
Nope.
Okay. You saw me when I called your name.
I did. I saw you. No, I think we always have a mix-up, and we're not exactly straight on how this story. We haven't agreed now in over 11 years.
I've agreed. I've learned to just agree with her story.
Yeah. So,
Married
but yeah,
her.
we met here at Virginia Tech, and we actually had a couple classes together as well, but we weren't dating or anything like that until I think I was a senior and you were your first year.
Yeah, it was my first year in NFL, but I think Robyn skipped over an important part. For me, is that we were friends in college. So it was somebody who I knew, admired, and respected. Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
I mean, I agree. I admired and respected you as well. The feeling was mutual.
Yeah. So, when we would go to the movies, we went to church a few times, dinner, but never really like dated.
Right.
Which I think is especially in today's age. Even back then, it was like unusual to have somebody that you were attracted to and not really date though. So, I mean, but it was cool. It was a cool friendship building thing. So that was a cool thing. But I left and went in the draft to the Lions, and when I came back after that first year, I seen her at one of the games in the stands, and we started talking again and exchanged numbers, and that's how we started dating.
Okay. Yeah. Both Robyn and Kevin were admitted into the class of 2005, and Robyn, still embracing her political aspirations, launched a campaign for class president. So what was it that motivated you to run for the class president? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I had actually served in that role, in high school before. I've always felt the desire to serve and to help push people to be their best selves. And this was just one way, another platform that I could do that. It was certainly frightening in the moment because, again, I was coming from Florida. I had no friends here. That literally was my opportunity to make friends, and that's what I did. I made connections and made friends and was just as surprised as anybody when I won, but it was exciting. I think the final motivator, too, was I remember calling my dad one day and being like, I can't do this anymore. Like, what was I thinking that I could come up here and run for class president? And I'm just tired, and this has been such a process. And I remember my dad saying to me, you can do it, giving you the parent speech of you can do it and all that stuff. And he's like, and if you win, I'll get you a car. And I was like, you'll get me a car? Like, I was up here, no transportation, anything. Right. So I remember, like, when I called him, it was like an event going on that I wanted to go and talk to people about, and I wasn't going to go. I was unmotivated. As soon as I hung up that phone, I was gone. Right. The rest of my dad was like, all he remembers is me calling him being like, where's my car? Right. So, but no, just the ability to serve. And I think that's something that has been a part of my career, even since then.
So how does that process actually work? Is there, I assume people vote, but I went to NC State for undergrad and I know how things went there, but how does that process actually work?
Well, take yourself back in time. Sure. Internet was a thing and email was a thing.
So this is early 2000s,
This is early 2000s. Yeah. So we're like using AIM. We're using, the AOL Instant Messenger. There's not really text messaging. I don't think, was there even text messaging? I'm not sure. Maybe very primitive, like one line scrolls up on your phone at a time. But basically, you just have to go out and corral to get votes. And there isn't really like a Twitter or Instagram to help you do that. So it was really a lot of like face-to-face contact, getting to know people. One of the primary strategies I remember using is, let me get your email address so I can reconnect with you. Right. And I think listservs were very new at that point. So I kind of made my own listserv and kind of said, hey, everybody, don't forget to vote. So just that's all it was just going out, getting to know people, making connection with them, talking about what you wanted to do to serve, and then hoping that they voted. And actually, I remember this really cool, or I thought he was a cool guy at the time, played football. I asked him, would he mind holding up my poster or helping to corral votes at the time? And I think he told me no to my face. And so, we won't talk about who that guy was, but let's just say I won without him holding up my poster.
I wasn't holding up no poster. But I'm not going to say you proved me wrong, because it's not that I didn't. Maybe I don't know what I thought. I can't remember what I actually thought at the time, but those same reasons is why, like, she's running this company today.
After graduating, Robyn joined Kevin in Detroit, where they would face the new challenge of life in the NFL. More on that right after this. Over the past few months, my wife and I have been able to save some time and money and develop a whole new set of cooking skills. How did we do it? We started subscribing to EveryPlate. EveryPlate is a meal kit delivery service that's different from others you may have heard of because it only costs $5 per serving, which is about half as much as those other meal kits cost. Each meal features a recipe that's made from fresh ingredients and only takes about 30 minutes to make. The box of ingredients and recipe cards are delivered to your door each week, so all that's left for you to do is enjoy making the meals. If you'd also like to sharpen your cooking skills and enjoy recipes you want to make over and over, you can get $20 off your first box from EveryPlate by visiting lifeexperienced.org/everyplate. That's lifeexperienced.org/everyplate for $20 off your first delivery. Welcome back. Now living in Detroit, Robyn and Kevin were confronted with how to manage Kevin's NFL career. Here's how they described that experience. So we'll talk about, I know when people think of NFL players, there's always a certain image that comes to mind. Most of the time it's these guys they see once a week on television playing football. You know, it's a really popular sport. But I just want to ask, what is it actually like day to day when you play for an NFL team? From your perspective, of course.
What is the day-to-day like? It's a grind.
Yeah.
It's similar to I forget what the thing they show on training camp. You know, the training camp show they show.
Like the,
It's similar to okay. So let me start over.
Sure,
You get up early, 5:30, 6 a.m. Get to the to the facilities around 7. Probably grab some breakfast. You have probably an 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Meeting. So whether that be a team meeting or a meeting, like individual meeting, you watch film and you talk about the upcoming team that you're coming to play against. And then you go from there to probably a walkthrough practice. It depends on that day, if a walkthrough or a weight room. So if it's walkthrough, it's not full speed, but it's not like you're actually walking. You're still running the plays and doing all that stuff. It's just not in pads and not full speed. And then you have a weight room, and then you have lunch, and then you have practice.
but this is like the start of your week is like a Tuesday.
Yeah, well, you still come in. Well,
Monday,
Tuesday's off.
Tuesday's off. I'm sorry,
Okay.
a Wednesday.
But you still come in because it's never really off.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
right.
Yeah. Not true.
As
No
I'm sure you
lies.
found
All
out.
lies. You know when they say volunteer training camp,
There's no
lies.
volunteer.
Right.
Try not showing up.
Yeah.
Um.
But no, you're basically always preparing, always having meetings, always working out, and always trying to like watch film and be better. So it's a constant, and that's constant. It's a constant grind. And the longer you're in the NFL, the more that hurts daily.
Right.
So you don't really, the family time comes normally at night, but you're tired.
You look forward to Tuesdays,
yeah.
even though you're not really off. You can try to kind of plan
Sure.
something on those days.
Weekends are taken up
Weekends
by
are
games,
gone, yeah.
traveling games. You go to a city to play, you hop on a plane right after the game and come right back. So you never really experience the city. So all the cities I've been to when I was playing, you come in the day before and you leave.
So you saw the stadium.
You literally saw them.
you go to dinner, but a lot
Okay.
of times, the young guys don't really understand how to like do it the right way.
Work the schedule.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
because you don't want to be late, so you just stay in the hotel.
Okay. Right.
And make sure you're
Right.
at that dinner and you just eat with the team. Versus like veterans, they know how to get in, they know their schedule, and they, get to a really nice restaurant, meet up with a friend from that city, and then, come back to the hotel on time and all those type of things. So. Yeah, but I would say it was a good experience, but it also was definitely a constant grind.
Yeah. How much interaction was there with the coaching staff?
You interact with the coaching staff, yeah, pretty much. I mean, all the time. That's like I said, you constantly having either a team meeting, an offensive
Right.
meeting, or individual meeting. So you're always interacting with the coach and the weight staff.
And they're always in their offices, so
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times players though don't go upstairs because they just feel like it's administrative and they, but I've always just like went upstairs. or,
Kevin.
Yeah.
I just want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
like
Right.
So hence why I kind of, before this job I was assistant athletic director at Virginia Tech. I don't know if you knew that. And I was in administration, so that was like a different side of it. So I kind of like that side as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you talked a little bit about some of the struggles or nuances of
Right.
being the family of someone who's having to stick to that schedule. Is there anything else that you want to share about that?
I mean, I think sometimes and I know from even my girlfriends whose husbands play, what they fail to leave out is the sore mornings, getting out of the bed. It's not just hopping out the bed. It's like getting out the bed type thing. Yeah. And, when you get out the bed on Monday after a Sunday game, it's like you've been in a wreck because your body's really sore, and you spend that day going to get rehab and treatment and all those things to try to get your body worked back up to be prepared for practice that week. And you get through practice that week in order to be ready for game day on Sunday. But I think a lot of times what the guys forget is about those aches and pains, the missed games for their kids, or the missed recitals, or the missed births, or the planned births. Right. A lot of us have gotten into planning those things so that the husbands can be there and make sure it's on a Tuesday when they're off. So we've been had to be strategic about that before.
And not.
Yeah, exactly. And not
running out of practice. I remember I had to run out of practice with our first kid.
Yeah.
And get to the hospital because Robyn was in labor. So that was crazy.
So then we learned for the second one, I was like planning to induce on a Tuesday, but she ended up coming, but we definitely were like planning to induce on a Tuesday, which is not the best practice, but it happens. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think those are a lot of the things that the guys forget because they're just in the grind. And as the spouse or support the family, whoever that is, we just try our best to make sure they're focused and ready for game day, because if they're not focused, it'll show up on Sunday. Even small things, I wouldn't let him change light bulbs. I remember I wouldn't let him do anything. I was like, your body is like your work vehicle, so you can't do anything that's going to jeopardize that vehicle. So I will get somebody else to change that really high light bulb. I will get somebody else to take the car to the shop, or whatever those things are. So those little things that you kind of that they kind of forget about.
In September 2009, Kevin was injured during a preseason game, which would ultimately lead to his release the following spring. Kevin said the injuries helped signal the next season of his life. So was it the injuries that really made you consider doing something else, getting out of the NFL, or how was that?
I would say it didn't make me consider something else as much. It was more so about sped up my time of pursuing the next thing, because I was always thinking about what was next, and always, and even now I'm always just in the mode of like, okay, what is the future? I'm a vision type person, and then like figure out how to like get there. So the injuries sped up that process, but the process was already going for me, and always like constant. I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, even when I was playing. I also painted stuff, played instruments, so it was just always things that I know that I wanted to do. So, after the second injury, it's like, okay, this may be more of a reality sooner than I expected. But that's kind of been like my life. I can't, I roll with those punches, things that I don't necessarily see happening. Sometimes they happen faster, even like the acquisition of Blue Mobius.
Blue Mobius is a marketing company, one that you'll recognize from season 1 of this podcast. So after leaving the league, how did Kevin and Robyn transition into a position where they could acquire a marketing company? Find out in our next episode, where Robyn and Kevin describe life post-NFL and their decision to return to Blacksburg. Life Experienced is hosted and produced by Ethan D. Smith and is primarily distributed via Anchor.fm. The show is also available via D-Sound, a decentralized audio sharing platform built on the Steam blockchain. For more information, visit dsound.audio. The music in this podcast is composed by Lee Rosevere and is used under a Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license. For more information, visit freemusicarchive.org. If you like the show, be sure to share it with others. Links to learn more about this episode, as well as more information on the podcast itself, may be found by visiting lifeexperienced.org. And for those of you still listening, Kevin was a top prospect when he played high school football, so when it came time for him to make the final decision on where he would attend college, he decided in the moment to add a bit of style to his decision. Here's how that happened. So I did peruse your Wikipedia article. It's interesting. It credits you with being the first person to really use props to reveal where you're going to college.
Yeah, let the record show, okay, that all of this prop things going on and the jersey things, this is the originator here.
Right.
So that was him doing entertainment, right?
Of course, the entertainment value.
Exactly.
So what motivated that? What gave you that idea?
I just wanted to have fun with it with my high school teammates, because it was a press conference and everybody wanted to know where I was going, and I didn't really know until like the last second.
Much to Kevin, how he is now when we get anywhere and it's time to make a decision. He knows like in that moment. So it's probably a little bit of that too, right?
Yeah, I would say I'm indecisive a lot of times. But it's not really, I don't think it's really about indecisive in a negative way. I think it's more of I want to be sure and I have to feel like it's right at the time. Yeah. And a lot of times I'm still weighing all the options down to the last second, and then I'm like, okay, this is what I think feels right. In my spirit. So waiting for God to let me know what I should do. So I think that it was a great decision. But back to the signing day, I really didn't know up until probably 5 to 10 minutes before I was going to make the decision and actually say it on camera. And I had some coaches in the room and some of my teammates and some family members. And me and my dad had talked about it the night before. We always made decisions together, but we never really said like, okay, this is it. And being from Pennsylvania, you don't really leave state if Joba comes to your house.
Right.
So it was a lot of different pressures and reasons. I also went to Catholic school from 6th through 12th grade. And I felt an obligation to take an official visit to Notre Dame because a lot of alumni of my high school were Notre Dame graduates. So I had the pressure of Notre Dame, Penn State, being an in-state kid, and then I really liked Virginia Tech. So those different things, it was just like, what do you do? Do you go to Penn State and like help them turn their program back around? Be a state savior in football, or do you like have loyalty to your Catholic roots from 6th through 12th and go to Notre Dame? But it was all these different reasons why I could have went to each school. But I had a blue sweater on because I wore uniforms. And underneath of that sweater, I had on a Michael Vick jersey. And then I also had a duffel bag with a Penn State jersey in it. So I think because people thought that I may be going to Penn State, they seen my blue sweater and thought that it was like a Penn State sweater because it was a navy blue sweater.
Right. And
so I said, I will, and I pulled the jersey out of the bag, not the attendance Penn State.
Yeah.
And then I pulled my sweatshirt off, and I was going to Virginia Tech. And it was just like a gasp in the room, like, what? You're leaving the state? Yeah. This is crazy. But yeah, I've never been bound by walls or norms.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to Virginia Tech because of that. It was just that I'm just going to go where I think I should be going.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And once again, I'm Ethan Smith, reminding you to get out there and experience life.